The air of Ghazni was wrapped in an eerie silence, a silence that carried within it the echo of death and the glimmer of resolve. Every street, every square, every heart held the same question: would the storm of the enemy pierce our defenses? Yet amid this fear, one name was on every tongue: Sultan Jalal ad-Din Khwarazm Shah. His presence ignited a light of courage in every soldier's heart, casting each young man into the fire of bravery. Citizens stood at the thresholds of their homes, pearls of prayer glistening in their eyes, watching as this mighty army, forged of faith and sacrifice, prepared to descend into the fields of Ghazni. Every sword, every spear, every warrior stood ready with a single cry: Allahu Akbar. This was not merely the beginning of a battle, but the first spark of a saga of faith, fervor, and sacrifice, a tale destined to echo through the chest of history for centuries to come. The atmosphere of Ghazni was heavy with fear and unrest. News of the approaching Tatar army had quickened every heartbeat. Shadows of past defeats loomed large in people's minds, but the presence of Sultan Jalal ad-Din rekindled the light of hope. After consulting his commanders, he made a decisive choice. This would not be a war of mere defense. The enemy would be tested outside the city, a battle meant to break their resolve. And even if fate turned against them, the city itself would remain secure. The army was made ready. Some citizens hesitated, considering flight at the news of the Tatar advance, but upon witnessing the unwavering resolve of the Sultan's soldiers, their hearts found peace. In every corner of the city, children, elders, men and women alike, hands were raised in prayer for the warriors, as if every heart echoed the same call: Allah is with us. Among his companions, Sultan Jalal ad-Din's presence stirred unmatched zeal. With 60,000 valiant warriors, he marched out of Ghazni, a march not merely of an army, but of the Ummah's hope, the city's honor, and faith's path toward victory. Upon reaching the plains of Balkh, the enemy force emerged like a desolate storm. The Tatar army stretched from east to west, advancing like a swarm of locusts. Yet in the eyes of the Mujahideen, there was no trace of fear, only resolve, the cry of Takbir, and the radiant light of faith. The battle erupted. The clash of swords, the shattering of spears, and the gruesome sight of torn bodies made every witness tremble to the core. But the cries of Takbir erased every fear, striking terror into the enemy's heart with every charge. The fighting raged throughout the day. Countless martyrs fell upon the battlefield, yet not a single step was taken in retreat. When the silence of night finally descended, both armies, exhausted, withdrew to their respective camps. After burying the martyrs, the warriors performed ablution and offered their prayers with heart and soul. The ferocity of the day had worn their bodies, but it could not weaken their faith or their resolve, even for a moment. Physicians and surgeons worked tirelessly, tending to the wounded with devotion and sacrifice, while at every moment a light of hope continued to rise. Not for a single moment did Sultan Jalal ad-Din's heart find rest. Mounted on his horse, accompanied by his chosen companions, he moved from camp to camp, tending to his soldiers, the pulse of their wounds, the grip of exhaustion, the shadows of fear. All were reflected together in his watchful eyes. In the stillness of the night, when the city lay drowned in silence, the muffled sobs of the Mujahideen echoed through the air. With hands raised, begging their Lord for divine help, these warriors taught lessons of humility and hope, even in the presence of their Sultan. As the first ray of sunlight tore away the veil of night, the soldiers of truth and falsehood once again faced each other on the field. The intensity of the previous days now revealed itself in full. Every soldier, every horse, every sword hung upon the thin line between life and death. The battle raged throughout the day. The balance shifted again and again, yet as the shadows of evening deepened, both armies remained firmly in place. Blood-stained swords returned to their scabbards, and so many warriors had fallen that victory on the third day seemed almost certain. The fighting on the third day was far more ferocious than before. No one retreated, no step was halted by fear. Throughout the night, soldiers prepared for the coming clash, but as darkness deepened, the cries and supplications of the mujahideen made the earth and heavens tremble. Weeping, they called upon the mercy of Allah, the same mercy that at Badr granted a small band of believers victory over an overwhelming enemy. At dawn, after consulting his commanders, Sultan Jalal ad-Din himself stepped onto the battlefield. He inspected the ranks and took his position at the very heart of the army. As soon as the war drums thundered, both forces hurled themselves upon one another. Within moments, the fury that erupted surpassed even the battles of the past 3 days. Dust rose beneath the hooves of horses, climbing into the sky and covering the day as if it were dusk. On one side, the Muslims advanced, raising cries of Takbir, with every step echoing faith and resolve. On the other, the Tatars attacked like wild beasts, gnashing their teeth. Swords collided, scattering sparks. Spears sent fountains of blood into the air. The neighing of horses, the battle cries of the brave, and the screams of the wounded made the very air tremble. This field was not merely a battlefield, it was a proving ground of courage, faith, and sacrifice, a spectacle where every moment was destined to become immortal in history. Like men possessed, every soldier rushed into the fray. Elderly men fought as mujahideen, even children stood as ghazis, blocking the enemy's advance. Sultan Jalal ad-Din's feet were firmly planted in the heart of the army. His steadfastness, courage, and unmatched resolve drove the entire force forward, striking the enemy like a bolt of lightning. Fear, panic, and uncertainty dared not enter his presence. He placed his complete trust only in the promises of his Lord. Even at the most critical moments of the battle, Sultan Jalal ad-Din himself repeatedly charged into the field with his elite guard, his piercing sword wreaking havoc within the enemy's ranks. As the day began to wane, the signs of divine help became unmistakable. The Tatars' strength faltered, their formations collapsed. Khwarazmian, Turk, and Afghan mujahideen advanced with thunderous cries, pushing the enemy back step by step. The Tatars could no longer hold their ground, and the exhilaration of victory was felt in every direction. Sultan Jalal ad-Din fixed his gaze upon the scattered enemy bands. Gratitude filled his heart, and he ordered the army to pursue. Despite their exhaustion, the mujahideen obeyed his command, swooping down upon the enemy like eagles, flooding the field with blood. Only a handful of Tatars managed to escape. Many days had passed since Sultan Jalaluddin departed from Ghazni, and the eyes of every soul in the city were fixed upon the battlefield. In mosques, homes, gatherings, and private supplications alike, men, women, children, and the elderly all prayed with sincere hearts for the victory of the army of Islam and for the honor and success of the Sultan. This long wait and restless anxiety came to an end when the news of victory finally reached the city. Joy erupted among the people, and the land of Ghazni was filled with gratitude. Tears flowed from eyes, hearts overflowed with happiness, and an atmosphere of celebration spread everywhere. Trust in Allah's help grew stronger, and the bravery of Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarazm Shah left an indelible mark upon the enemy's heart. For the first time, the army of Islam achieved such a magnificent victory in open battle, and for the Tatar forces, this crushing defeat became a harsh and unforgettable lesson. The echo of Ghazni's victory spread throughout the entire region. Where once the bloodthirsty and terror-stricken power of Genghis Khan had cast its shadow, the winds of freedom now began to blow. From the foothills of the Hindu Kush to the farthest reaches of Khurasan, various Afghan tribes rose up against the Tatars. In every city, every settlement, every outpost, the enemy's agents were put to death, and signs of the army of Islam's triumph became visible everywhere. This victory was not merely a battle, it was a saga of faith, courage, and sacrifice, destined to be remembered for centuries. The battle had ended, but its reverberations would be felt for generations. The valor of Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarazm Shah, the fervor of his soldiers, and the power of the prayers of the people of Ghazni forced the enemy to retreat. The field of Ghazni was no longer a place of blood and blades alone. It became a symbol of faith, sacrifice, and steadfastness. The fragrance of victory filled every street, every home, every heart. Songs of gratitude rose into the city's skies. Tears glistened in eyes, and the light of peace settled within hearts. The Tatar army suffered a humiliating defeat, and the name of the army of Islam resounded across the region. Yet, this story is not complete. The Tatars' morale was shaken, yes, but their savagery still remained. In the days ahead, Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarazm Shah would face trials that would prove decisive not only for his army, but for the entire Ummah. Prepare yourselves. The coming battle will be even fiercer, more dangerous, and more cinematic. A new saga of enemy brutality and the valor of the Mujahideen will unfold before you. After the victory of Ghazni, the trials of Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarazm Shah and the Tatars' thirst for revenge will quicken your heartbeat. Stay connected with Echo Vibe, for the next chapter is not merely anticipation, it is the rising echo of a new moment in history.